In today's video, guys, I'm gonna show you how to deal billions of damage on Hydra clan boss. And guess what? Without using Yumeko whatsoever. No single Yumeko, and of course, no double Yumeko. Now, we actually talked about this team before. We shared it in screenshots. Is the Infinity comp. Victor Test got a world record on Hydra with it, and is actually pretty crazy. If we're gonna head over to the Hydra Clash, we're gonna start actually with the Imperium right here. And we have Doc Moreau, who actually dealt a key on Nightmare with the team, and he dealt an impressive almost 11 billion damage. Billions, guys. Corporal and Cadaver 6 billion. And when I first shared with you guys a screenshot about this team, everybody was like, yeah, Skratch, shut up, you need Yumekos. You need Yumekos, if no, you cannot do it. Well, guess what? You do not need Yumekos. And I do want to start by giving a massive shout out to my good buddy Yang. He's a Brazilian content creator. How you can see right here on the screen, that's his video where he actually went in Hydra with a kind of like a classic infinite comp. He changed a couple of things in there, and then bang, he got 2 billion damage on Hydra Heart. And then many other things changed since we've been playing around with it. So I have clanmates, for example. Let me just quickly show you, and then I'm going to show you Mikey. So we have my buddy Big D right here, who actually went on Brutal with no Yumekos whatsoever. Okay, this is his team on Brutal, and he dealt 11.5 billion damage. He went with Mishinaki, so having that hex is great. Now in my team, I actually have Lydia on a curse set, but I'm going to show you that in just a second. And you see, Corporal and Cadaver, 730 million damage. Now, with better RNG, you could potentially get even more than what you see right here. Then if we're going to go over to my team, for example, so here we are. I actually attempted to do Brutal as well with Taras instead of Anchorite. Now the problem is you need to have 3 turn cooldown buff extenders. Taras does it on a 4 turn cooldown, and I didn't want it to break my arena build because I'm doing live arena and I'm just playing the game daily, so I didn't want it to change the build for it. And instead, I decided to lower difficulties to make my life a bit easier, because this is a painful team to run, guys. It takes a lot of time, and it might be tedious to set it up in some cases. Now, if you have Krisk, it's not so hard to set it up, but I'm going to show you how to do it without Krisk. I'm going to show you how to do it without Lanakis as well. So basically, we're going to run Anchorite, Under Priest Brogni, Corporal and Cadaver, Sandless Survivor, and Hellborn Sprite. Those are the champions that will get the job done. I'm quickly going to show you how to set up the team, and I'm going to show you a completely different thing. So I'm going to head over to the test server, because here I can actually use those champions again, because I haven't used them in here. And I'm going to show you something different, how to set up the team. We're going to go on normal as well. But basically, you can do it with something like this. You don't need Lanakis, you don't need Krisk. Now, the only problem that I will have in here, guys, is gonna be the setup and the Head of Mischief. This rotation is not the same like the one we have in game. The Head of Torment is in there, so probably this is the worst possible rotation for this team. And I'm gonna show you how to set it up, and you're gonna see how easy it is and how crazy powerful Corporal and Cadaver gets once we're gonna get the team set up. And I'm gonna show you some of my run from my actual account, because I've recorded that for you guys as well. It took me I think almost 90 minutes to do a full run, which was painful, but I still recorded it all just to show you guys what sort of damage we were getting towards the end of the fight. And of course, I'm gonna show you the builds that I had on that team. I'm going to show you the builds on this. I'm not going to do a full run with these guys. I just want to show you how to set it up, because how I mentioned, it takes you like 90 minutes. And honestly, without sounding like a jerk, I just don't have the patience to do it again, okay? So I'm just going to show you how to quickly set it up. So we don't want to have this on auto, guys, because we're going to buff slowly here. You see, I have Anchorite. He buffs crit rate, he buffs crit damage, and this will eventually help all my team, especially Brogni. That's the reason why I have him like this. If you want to build your Brogni strong enough, you're going to have to sacrifice some stats, you know. Plus, with the A2, he actually cleanses when he's increasing the duration of debuff. So the Head of Torment is not such a big problem. There we go. We put increased crit rate, increased crit damage, defense down and weaken. We landed that on everybody. We're going to increase the duration of buffs. Then we're going to provoke with Sunlight Survivor. Hopefully it's going to land the provoke. There we go. We managed to land it. The main issue that we have here, guys, I'm going to be honest, is the Head of Mischief. And it's so freaking annoying because I don't have resistance on all the champions. And if he's targeting the wrong champions, it's painful. Now, if I would have Krisk in the team, this wouldn't be an issue whatsoever because Krisk will have the resistance, will give me the extra buffs, and that will control the Head of Mischief at the start. So it's much easier to start the team with Krisk. Now, without him, I gotta admit it's painful, okay? So I got a buff with increased attack, put a second shield on Corpulent Cadaver from Brockney. So now I have double shield on. And from here on, I'm gonna slowly increase the value of the shield. You see, the Head of Mischief stole the buffs from my Lydia. It's not much that I can do. It's gonna end up in spreading them, and that's gonna make my setup a bit more painful at the beginning. I could go back and restart it again and retry it, but honestly, it's not something that I really enjoy doing, you know? So I'm gonna let it go like this. I'm gonna increase this a bit because he got the strengthen from us. We actually got to do less damage, but we almost doubled the damage on Corpulent Cadaver. And slowly we're gonna just put more and more. I'm just hoping that the Head of Mischief will target Corpulent, for example, because he has resistance, you know. But seems like because it's random, it's pretty hard when everybody has an equal amount of buffs, and it's so hard to change anything here. It's super hard. I could change Lydia to resistance and give her a different blessing, like Lightning Cage, for example, and that will sort out the problem. But again, it's not gonna be very helpful with the cursed set. I have a very bad cursed set, and it's so hard to get decent stats on my Lydia, you know? I can't get the resistance with a set like that, so I gotta sacrifice that and just have a harder setup at the beginning, you know? But that's fine. We're gonna slowly be on point if we don't get 3%ed on anyone or anything crazy like that, you know? No provoke, unfortunately. That's fine. So again, I could go and just increase the value of the shield right now. I don't have defense down or anything on them, but I'm gonna do it anyway. You know, I want to increase that shield on Corpulent Cadaver as fast as possible. The more damage I get to do, the faster I kill the heads, allowing me to be spot on. So there we go. We put the cleanse on. He attacked my Corpulent Cadaver, resisted. I have around 500 resistance on him. And you're gonna need minimum 450 for any difficulty whatsoever, guys. So very, very important to be aware of that. I can try to provoke instead of extending. Hopefully he's gonna land a provoke. Oh, thank you. I was gonna say, it looked like it was not gonna land and I was actually getting worried. So I can target the Head of Mischief because I have hacks on him. I want to kill that head as well as fast as possible because that's going to drop the turn meter. And at the moment, that's the head that creates me the biggest issue out of all of them, you know, because he can randomly just steal buffs from anyone. It's hard to control him when everybody has an equal amount of buffs, you know. Luckily, I can do this with Lydia. And now I can actually increase the value of the buffs. We lost the Head of Mischief, and from here on, let's increase the value of the shield and start kicking in damage. Soon, not so soon, but pretty soon, we're gonna start to one-shot the heads, guys, and that's going to be absolutely crazy. You see, we're increasing the duration of buffs on all my team. The shield value is getting pretty juicy in there, and now we can actually start to drop in some more serious damage on the enemies. We want to have that hex on because that's going to be very beneficial as well to spread the damage from Corpulent Cadaver. So check this out, for example. You see? 194k. This is still not very impressive, you know, like, don't get me wrong. It's not impressive damage. The Head of Mischief coming out. We want to land that hex on him. Hopefully now it's gonna drop on. We have the hex on, so I feel much better because I'm going to be able to slowly deal some damage. Now, let me just show you one quick thing. Why I said that Corpulent Cadaver is the second most broken thing in the game we've ever had since Geomancer. You see, whenever a new Hydra head spawns, it has this massive shield that brings them a huge damage reduction. Well, once you're gonna have him to deal more damage, Corpulent Cadaver basically ignores anything that brings damage mitigation. Nothing can stop him. No Toxic Cloud, no nothing. Basically, his damage is gonna go through everything, and it's just nuts that he can hit so hard, you know? And they could just fix that, honestly, and that will kind of like kill the vibe of this team, because he's not going to be able to one-shot the heads anymore once they're going to spawn, and that's going to put the team in a bad spot, basically. Check this out. 293k bang, and slowly we started to one-shot them. You see, my Brogni is going to get devoured in 3 turns. Now, what's going to happen is that most of these heads will almost be at a point where they're not taking a turn anymore. But I still need to increase the value of the shield a bit more. So I need to do it a couple of more times before I can get to one-shot all the heads, basically, you know. But slowly we're getting there. Slowly we are getting there. So let's increase the value of that. Of course, the more turns the Hydra takes, the faster they're going to devour my champions. But that's not necessarily the biggest issue that we have in here. We are waiting for Brogni to have that A2 available again. I have Brogni on reflex. So we want him to drop in here as much damage as possible. So there we go. Look at that. You see, 246k through the shield. That's something that it shouldn't happen. Like, no other champion in the game can do it, basically, you know. And I feel like it's just an error based on their coding, and I feel like that's the thing that they're gonna address, you know, because that will really slap the team down. If you're not able to one shot the Hydra heads anymore, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna get devoured much faster, and it's gonna be harder for you to recover. But look at that, 369k, man. I know this is just on easy, guys, on normal. I'm showing you how to set up the team. No Yumekos or anything like that, you know. I know it's 7 minutes in, apologies for that, but we gotta do it. We gotta do it. Okay, so my Brogni got devoured. That's absolutely not a problem. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna try to provoke. We haven't managed to provoke, but that's fine. So the Head of Decay has a hack. So right now I'm gonna try to see if I can kill him like that. Not really. We didn't dealt enough damage to do that. I'm gonna buff to ensure that my Brogni is gonna get the right buffs on. Okay, and the next champion to get devoured is Lydia, but that should be pretty spot on. So we have hacks on everybody. Let's increase the duration of buffs. We got resisted on the Head of Mischief, and check this out. We almost one-shot it. So we're getting there. We're getting there. A bit of more setup, and we should be spot on. Now, I want to buff this again because I need increased attack on Brogni. So we want to make sure we're spot on with that too. If we have increased attack, we're going to deal more damage, basically. Okay, so we stun that. That's fine. Toxic Cloud, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to show it to you right now. When you have Toxic Cloud, they're only weak hits. Well, he doesn't care about weak hits because the damage is still going to be 338k, and bang, drop the head down. So that's basically what is happening with Corpulent Cadaver, guys. If you are curious, I know some of you guys had no idea what's happening, how this thing is working, why is it working in this way. So that's the thing right here. It doesn't need War Master, it doesn't need crit rate, it doesn't need crit damage, it doesn't need defense down, it doesn't need weaken. He's just doing it regardless, okay? So let me just put it out there. He's doing it regardless. Weak hits or anything like that, again, it doesn't matter for him. And that's basically the setup right here. You see, we are in a pretty good position. We are already at a point where we're racking the heads. Now, I don't want to kill all the heads at the same time, but it's going to happen once we're going to go more in the run, and we're going to do like 2, 4, 5, 6 million per hit. We're going to one-shot the other heads because of the hacks, you know? So that's going to be pretty nasty. So you see, I have 1 hex, 2, 3 hex. We're going to target a head that doesn't have hacks. And we just got 150k, 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 500k. So you wanna do that just to basically increase your damage. You know, always hit the head that doesn't have hacks, and you're gonna get way more damage like this. Now, I don't have Mishinaki in the team. That would actually be huge for the team because we're gonna be able to have hacks consistently and defense down. How I mentioned, you don't need the weaken and the rest of the things. So that would really improve this team. But I am using my Mishinaki on a nightmare, you know. 444k hit. So we are almost at a point where we should be able to put in some serious work. Now, I'm not going to increase the value of the shield right now because I have no defense down. Defense down is needed for Brogni, though. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And let's see, can we do that? Okay. Sandlash Priest Provoke, please. I do have my Sandlash on a provoke set as well, just in case if the A1 is not enough, just to kind of like drop in some more work. So we're going to target the Head of Mischief here. 450k. You've seen was not a crit hit or anything like that. And I'm not going to increase the value of the shield. I'm going to try to kill the Head of Mischief. There we go. We killed that with Brogni. So now we drop the Termiter on them. I have 2 heads decapitated. One of them with weaken, but we're going to land defense down and weaken on everybody. We're going to increase the duration of buffs. We're going to go and kill this head right now. And with Brogni, we're going to increase the value of the shield. I don't have defense down on everybody, but it doesn't matter. Look at that. We grew the shield. So now we continuously buff and buff and buff. It's as simple as that, guys. And how I mentioned, you can do it on brutal. You can do it on hard. It's not going to work on Nightmare without the double Yumeko. Or it might, but we haven't tried it. Is potential to work in there as well. And there we go. Look at this. 604k hit. And slowly we're just increasing this. The more we're using the A2 on Brogni, the more damage we're basically dealing. But that being said, guys, I'm going to back out of the fight. And I'm going to show you the builds on the team. And then we're going to go over to the run that I've done on my account. And I'm just going to show you a bit the damage towards the end to see how crazy it is. So look at this. 21 million. And we have Sunless Survivor with 2.7. Lydia with 4.8. Corpulent Cadaver with 7 million. Brogni with 5.8. Anchorite with 500k. Now, this setup was painful because the Head of Mischief messed us up. We had the Head of Torment that was messing around with us. But once you're going to get it in, 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to start doing some insane damage. But let me show you the builds on the champions. So we're going to start with the fastest champion, guys, or one of the fastest champions. Now I have my Lydia. How I mentioned, you need a curse set if you want to deal crazy damage. And you need a curse set to help you control the Head of Mischief later on in the run. A 3% chance can happen at any time, regardless of how much resistance you have, and will be a shame to lose the resistance, the buffs from Corpulent Cadaver. So we have Lydia. Basically, I changed the gear. I haven't bothered with accessories, but total stats, 60k HP, 3.8k defense. You don't really need to worry about survivability that much. 258 speed, 360 accuracy. Masteries, we have offense and support tree. We have War Master. And you definitely want to get Sniper on for the cursed set. I actually didn't notice that I didn't have this on the test server. I know that I have it on my account, but seems like on the test server, I don't have it. Then, if we're going to move over to the next champion, and I think that was Anchorite, which is hiding somewhere. I don't know where, but let's find him. There we go. So Anchorite, he is built on a reflex and a speed set. Now, you don't need to have reflex sets on the 3-turn buff extenders. I just chose to give it because it is beneficial, so you don't have to worry in case if a fear procs or anything like that on any of the champions, you know. So I have a couple of refresh accessories as well. Basically, all that matters on Anchorite is have a reflex if possible. If no, it's fine. And have resistance. So have some speed. You want Lydia to be first. So she puts buffs on and then they just increase the duration basically. 259 speed, 488 resistance. Masteries, defense, support, and we went with extra resistance. No War Master or anything like that because it will barely bring you any extra damage. Then we have Hellborn Sprite. She's on a reflex as well, double refresh accessories. Basically, increase the duration of all ally buffs and gives you a crit rate, which is going to be anyway overwritten by Anchorite because it's going to be at 30%. And stats on her, 52k HP, 2.9k defense, 252 speed, 418 resistance. So more resistance on this champion would be good actually. Masteries, pretty much the same cup of tea like on Anchorite, more or less. Unshakable S tier 6. Then we have the next champion, guys, which is Sunless Survivor. So you need 3 buff extenders. Sunless Survivor is great because of the provoke on the A1 to help you to set up the team a bit easier without the Head of Decay cleansing. And you can replace the buff extenders, for example, by using a Demita, by using Lenekis, by using Krisk, by using a Taras on a reflex set, for example, and don't use his A2, only A3, A1. That will bring you a lot of extra damage because Taras is a monster. But I didn't want it to break my arena build for it, to do it on my account, so I chose to just go on lower difficulty instead. And there might be some other buff extenders on a 3-turn cooldown. Godseeker and Eerie, for example, another one. And I have her on a provoke set, and I have her Actually, I don't even have her on a provoke set, man. I do, actually. I thought that I didn't, because I don't see it here. It's just not being shown for whatever reason. It's invisible. But oh, I don't have her on a provoke set. I have her on mixed. God damn it, I haven't completed her build. So she was meant to be on a provoke set. Apologies. But total stats, 249 speed, 38k HP, 4.3k defense, 99 crit rate, 168 crit damage, 334 accuracy. That's why I was never landing a provoke when I was using the A2, because I have a couple of reflex and a couple of provoke. Seems like I forgot to change them, or I got mixed up when I was doing it. Errors happen, guys. War Master has tier 6 on her. She deals a bit of damage, so I chose to go with War Master on her, and you see I gave her some crit rate. And then we have Corpulent Cadaver in the team, and he is on a shield set and a divine speed. Now you don't need a divine speed because basically the shield is just kind of like getting put together. You're gonna need Brogni to buff the extra shield with the A3. Plus you're gonna need the increased attack from Brogni. And total stats, we have 79k HP, 2.2k defense, 234 speed, 495 resistance. All that matters is the speed and the order of the champions. He needs to be the slowest champion in the team, Corpulent Cadaver, okay? And have the highest resistance to ensure that he's not gonna lose buffs. Of course, the 3% chance can happen, how I mentioned. Masteries, we have defense and offense. So we have Unshakable as tier 6. You wanna get Rejuvenation on him to get extra value on the shield from Brogni, and that's about it, guys. I actually went with Heart of Glory. I went with Single Out, Bring It Down, Methodical, and I'm honestly not 100% sure if they affect the damage from the A1. I think it should, but I'm not 100% sure. And then we have Brogni, which is right here somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. He's a +2. There we go. So he's on a reflex and a crit damage set. Out of all the builds that you've seen, this is gonna be the hardest to achieve because you need him to deal damage. And I don't have a crazy build on him. He's a good build, but I've seen much crazier ones. Like Yang, for example, has a better build than mine. 3.8k attack, 237 speed, so he is a bit faster than Corpulent Cadaver. 86 crit rate, 282 crit damage. Now, Anchorite buffs the crit rate, buffs the crit damage, so that's gonna be better for us. I would love to get the resistance on him as well, but it's pretty hard, you know, to get 200 more resistance to make sure we're gonna be spot on. And masteries, offense, support 3, and how you've noticed I don't have War Master, I actually have Helm Smasher. The harder he hits, the bigger the shield value. Now, that was the team that I've just showed you how to set up. No Krisk, no Lenakis, no Yumekos or anything like that. Let me show you how my team actually performed. Now, this is my run right here, guys. Unfortunately, I started recording only like a few minutes after because I completely forgot to press on the record button. But I have Krisk in here, I have Lenakis, so for my run, I actually went in with the big boy champions. I just wanted to show you a demonstration that you don't need Krisk, you don't need Lenakis to make it work. And of course, I wanted to show you the setup because I wasn't able to record it in here. I completely forgot to click that record. You've seen my Corpulent Cadaver. He's already hitting for almost 1 million damage. And that is at the very beginning of the run, guys. Which is already so freaking crazy. Now, the more we go in, the more damage you're gonna see. I do want to mention that the builds that I have on these champions and masteries are pretty much identical with what I showed you on the other team before. Literally, the only champion that's different is Krisk because he's not built on a reflex. Lenakis has the gear from Hellborn Sprite, and the rest, they're pretty much identical. Now, what I do want to mention is that if I would have had a second cursed set, for example, I would have given that to Krisk. But unfortunately, I barely scrapped a cursed set. I've been farming an Ice Golem for the last 3 days to get one decent set that I can use, you know, so maybe in the future, who knows it. But let's actually fast forward a bit in. So this is a long run, you see, it's basically for 70 plus minutes, guys. And we are already at 1.3 billion damage. We haven't got the notice of a turn count limit getting close or anything like that. But check this out, how we are racking the heads. And you see, my Brogni was still not devoured after 41 minutes. None of my champions were devoured because I was one-shotting them. And the reason why I got my Brogni devoured was because the Head of Mischief was being naughty. So if I wasn't able to put a hex on him and go with Corpulent Cadaver and kill him, I wasn't able to control him. And the Hydra was taking a turn, decreasing the counter on my Brogni. But you've seen there, we had a hex, 11 million damage, man, insanity. We one-shot the head like was butter, okay, like was nothing. 11.7. And the one thing that you really need to pay attention is to see which heads have the hex, devoured, decapitated or not decapitated, and attack the one that doesn't have the hex to spread the damage. So I'm gonna let that hit right here. Check this out. So we got the hit from Corpulent Cadaver, 11.7 million. And this is still far off from being fully set up, guys. You're gonna see the rest in a second, but we spreaded 10.5 million damage to the other heads in total. So basically, we dealt 20 plus million damage with one single hit in Hydra. It's just crazy. So the more we go towards the end, so we are closer to the turn count limit. You see, 3.8 billion damage, guys. Look at that massive shield. It's crazy. Now the Head of Mischief stole buffs from my Lanakis, how you can see. Naughty things can actually happen. But that's fine. As long as you're not losing the buffs from Corpulent Cadaver, as long as that 3% chance doesn't proc, you're gonna recover regardless. So right here, again, we want to pay attention who has the hex, who doesn't, and to go in and drop that damage there, you see. It doesn't matter if they have defense down or weaken or whatever. Look at that, we're spreading 5 million damage per hex, guys. We're dealing 19 million damage per hit without the hex. So basically, over 30 million damage per hit, man. It's just absolutely nuts. And there we go. Where are we at the end? Here we are. So this was the run that I showed you at the beginning, guys. Quickly, just to go here at the end. Seems like I haven't left it not even for a second here. When the result ended, I just stopped the recording. But basically, was just crazy. I'm gonna reach the turn limit, of course, and if you were curious what happens when you reach that, basically you're not losing the key or anything. The key just ends and you're keeping the result, everything, which is great, because back in the day it was not happening like this in the clan boss. And there we go. My Corpulent Cadaver with 2.4 billion damage, Lydia with 1.3. So yes, guys, this is normal, but basically if I would go on hard, I would deal around 2 billion damage. If I would go on brutal, I would have to change champions because this team won't work on brutal. It will be much harder to set it up because the heads are faster, they're tankier, so it's harder to one-shot them. So I'm not saying we're not going to be able to deal a few 100 million damage, because we will, but it's going to be more annoying to set it up. Now if I would bring a Mishinaki instead of Lydia and have that hex constantly on the Head of Mischief to be able to control that, is going to be a piece of cake. And you've seen my clanmate actually dealt 1 billion damage on brutal with the exact same team, but with Mishinaki instead of Lydia. That was all for this, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to smash that like, subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.